Hello everyone and welcome to Flawless, a music podcast. My name is Grant and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, George.
Good morning, afternoon or eve, flawless people.
And Liam.
Hello everybody, no matter what time it is.
Each episode, one of the hosts or a guest nominates an album that they think is flawless. And we talk about why they love it, what they love about it, and at the end, we decide if we agree that it's flawless. We've got a Facebook group, it's called Flawless Friends and Family, and we'd love for you to join us. Tell us what you think about your favourite albums and your favourite episodes of Flawless. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/Flawless Friends and Family. What a mouthful.
Good work.
We also have a Patreon, and you can back us from as little as $1 a month, and no matter how much you back us for, you'll get access to our special bonus episodes. You can find us at patreon.com/FlawlessAMP. And as of today, how many patrons do we have?
We have 4 as of today, which is a
Solid
new record
4.
for us.
That's awesome. Well done, everyone. So this afternoon, evening, or morning, whenever you decide to listen to this, we actually have a guest, which is super exciting. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Pascalle Burton and I play synths in the band The Stress of Leisure.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
Yes, you do.
It's
Hello,
true.
Pascal.
Hello.
And this is not the first time we're discussing.
No, it is not. Pascal is our second time guest.
Yes.
Oh, that's so
There
exciting.
we go. The first one for the second time.
The first time I spoke with you was with Ian, also from The Stress of Leisure, and we spoke about television's Marquee Moon as part of your Special Girls Rock series, which is great.
Special.
You
Yes.
had to cram all that into 10 minutes.
Yeah. We've got a little more
A
room
little
this
more
time.
time tonight.
Yes, we do.
Or today, or this morning.
Yes.
And we don't have Ian. We've kicked
At
him
the
out.
moment.
We
Yeah.
kicked Ian out and
Yeah.
just went, let's just bring in the guns.
Yeah.
And we'll bring Pascal
Bring in the heavy hitters.
Because we love redhead women on this podcast. So, yeah,
That's
we had to
right.
bring them.
Correct. Exactly. So you've got an album you'd like to nominate.
Yes.
Please illuminate us.
I have chosen for this episode an album by Smog, and it's called Dongs of Sevotion.
It happens on a side street, maybe. It happens on a main street, maybe. Lion bites zebra neck.
And the reason I have a few reasons, I'm going to just lay them out.
Do it.
to
Please.
see.
Lay 'em out.
So the reason I've chosen this is it's an album with really awesome themes of mortality, sex, violence, and death, but it also combines morbid humour and tension, so it's never too heavy. My second reason is an example of completely purposeful songwriting, from the lyrics to the instruments and the arrangements to the song structures and the song order. But most of all, my favourite part of it is the lyrics and how they're delivered. And it's kind of in that enigmatic fashion of, say, Leonard Cohen or Johnny Cash or Lou Reed. They're disconcerting, they're sharp, they're shocking at times, they're bleak, they're funny, they're alienated, they're shameful but honest. Mm-hmm. They draw imaginatively from the well of human experience.
Jeez. Just for the listeners, while this is going on, she's reading from notes, which is super impressive. Typed notes at that.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. And it just also becomes very cinematic. Some of the songs really put vivid pictures in your head. So that's why I've chosen this album.
Awesome.
Sounds like very
Job
solid
done.
reason.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're
This could be
done.
the shortest episode ever.
Yeah,
We might just
there
wrap
we
it
go.
up.
That's okay.
Goodness.
And
there
so
you go.
how did you discover Dongs of Sevotion?
I like the play on the
Jeepers.
songs of devotion.
Yeah, and
and
to
it's
read
like
it.
a dick joke straight away.
Totally, yeah.
It's great.
Which is why I was just initially I was like, Smog did something like dickish, and
Yes.
it's just like, oh, okay, that's not really what we're going for. Okay,
Yeah.
yep.
So I already knew the album Knock Knock, and that was pretty big in Australia, I remember when it came out. So it was well received, and I loved some of the songs like Cold Blooded Old Times and The River Guard and blah, blah, blah. But this album came out while I was living in London, and I picked it up, and it just became one of those albums I couldn't stop listening to. And I saw him play this album at Scott Walker's Meltdown Festival.
No.
And I think I need to explain who else was on the bill. Please. So you had Smog, and he had his backup singers called the Dongettes. And but before he came out, you also had Jarvis Cocker was playing a glass organ or harmonica. He's playing some really weird instrument.
Right.
And before that was a German band called Fuckhead. And as I've kind of gone back and searched that, it's hard to know whether they're German or Austrian, but Fuckhead play nude. And it's very heavy experimental music. And my favourite part of their act...
Total nude.
Yeah.
Totally nude.
Just to be clear.
My favourite part was you had two of the members of Fuckhead standing back to back at the beginning of a song. And as the music played, they kept moving further and further apart. And you realised there was a piece of string joining between their butts. And then they would hang things over that. It was a memorable experience.
Unforgettable.
They didn't get good reviews, but Smog did. So that's where I saw. Yep.
So was Smog the main act that night?
Yes.
That's awesome. And Smog is Bill Callahan. That goes by Smog. Well, went by Smog, but from 1990 to 2005, and then went by Bill Callahan from 2007 to 2020, and it's released a record this year.
Great facts.
So
even in between there.
That's 20. Can I just point out that's 21 albums
Mm-hmm.
by this dude.
He's a little prolific.
Yeah, since 1990. And I was like, and I was only 5 in 1990, but I've not achieved. I've had one album in that time. That's not enough.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's good. Sorry.
One album is enough.
Yeah, I suppose it's just tick.
It's 1/20th of what Bill Callahan has released.
This is true. And he, interestingly, is 3 months younger than my fiance.
Oh.
Right.
So when I had extra time to do notes, I got some real good facts. So, yeah.
This is just a little fact that there was one album after this album where he actually changed his name to Smog in brackets.
Well, like Sun?
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, cool.
So definitely not someone who takes himself too seriously.
I don't think
in case
so.
Dongs of Sevotion didn't give that away.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. So this came out in April 3rd, 2000.
Mm-hmm. So it was in Europe on Domino Recording Company, and then in North America on Drag City.
And can I just say, Drag City also have some other epic people that from my like catalogue, like Joanna Newsom, Jim O'Rourke, Pavement, Stereolab, and Scott Walker, who has already been mentioned.
And Purple Mountains and Silver Jews as well.
They're people I will be
And
looking
Bonnie
up after.
Prince Billy, I think might be.
Bonnie Prince Billy, I know, yep. So Enemy named it the 27th best album of 2000, and Pitchfork placed it number 10 on their top albums of 2000.
And in the UK independent chart, it was number 28. Mm-hmm. So that's when you're saying that you were in the UK at the time, it makes perfect sense that you would have been like, oh, I've heard this in indie music.
Yes.
Because it would have been played a lot. Cool.
And so that was Knock Knock how you'd first heard of Smog, or did you know about them before that?
That was Knock Knock. I was listening to Triple J, I'm thinking, back in the golden days of Triple J. And, that album I know did pretty well. Mm-hmm. I don't have the stats.
No.
But
That's okay. Mm-hmm. And
Sorry,
only seen Smog once?
No, I've seen him 5 times.
Yes.
So I've seen him play with Joanna Newsom because they used to date.
Stop the bus!
They used to date. Before she married Andy Samberg.
She did marry Andy Samberg, the weirdest couple ever, but I love them both.
That's
in
right.
Different parts of my life.
They
Right.
played the Zoo at an incredibly hot summer show, and everyone was just drenched in sweat, and it was a great show. Yeah.
Awesome.
But
Has
they
anyone
played
else
together.
here seen Smog?
No.
No. Grant's like, just follow.
Grant's got that face again.
That's all right.
Grant has
I've also
this
seen
podcast
him at the Troubadour, when it was called the Troubadour. I think he was playing the Woke on a Whale Heart album. I have seen him at the Spiegel tent down in Sydney as part of the Sydney Festival. And what I remember that night, because I really wanted to see him play. Jim White was on the drums doing his lovely staring, and it was fantastic. And then I just jetted at the end in a cab to the Enmore to see Grace Jones. It was like a great night.
Whoa!
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And then another time I've seen him was this year. It was one of the last gigs I saw before lockdown.
Yeah.
And he was playing with Zuluris White, and it was fantastic. That was at the Tivoli.
Wow!
Cool.
Wow!
Yeah.
Epic
Jeez.
place to play as well.
At the Troubadour, was he solo, or did he have to?
No,
did
he
they
had
squeeze the band up there?
Yeah, because I remember my favourite song on that album was Diamond Dancer, and he had the whole band playing that. It was like, yeah, great.
Cool.
Just because I like to bring it back
Oh,
to the
yes.
UK sometimes, is that he lived in the UK for 8 years because his parents and stuff. And he lived in a place called Knaresborough, which is like the arse end of nowhere. But lived there for on and off for 8 years, which is really awesome.
That is
so
amazing.
I like to bring that in. But can anyone guess what his parents did for a living, knowing what, listening to this album? Thinking about the kind of guy he is, the stuff he writes about, everything like that.
Funeral directors?
Ministry.
They were language analysts for the NSA. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I just went, what a curveball of a child that you've got. Like a successful curveball, but
Yes,
a
that's
curveball
true.
nonetheless. So, so when you can't say, something weird, it was fun Bill facts.
That's great, Bill Fax.
Have you seen him play, George? We didn't ask you. You asked
Oh,
us.
no, I haven't.
Okay.
But has been at festivals at the time, I think. I forgot to spend time looking at the different festivals I went to, but I'm pretty certain because I was into a lot of questionable music when this came out. Because I was only 15, so there was some new metal in there, etc.
Oh, yes,
so
that's
if he was
great.
playing the festival, I probably would have gone interesting, but I'm going
There's
to
something
choose,
better on.
I'm going to choose something I can mosh to. So but then later years got really into by probably 2 years after this album, got really into everything that was lo-fi, and I've seen lots of other artists that are lo-fi, but I haven't seen Smog. So there you go.
Cool.
Go on, yeah.
I haven't seen him. I said before I hadn't seen
Oh, I
him.
missed that.
But
Sorry.
my Smog story is almost identical to Pascal's in that I heard Knock Knock songs on Triple J in 1999 because that was right when I was getting right into Triple J. So Cold Blooded Old Times, I was like, yeah, that's a great song. But the difference is I never actually followed it up and did anything with it. So, but I know bands talk about Smog as like a person that they know. Like even if he doesn't get a lot of chart success and doesn't have a lot of high profile stuff on that side, a lot of bands talk about him and know him, especially in that sort of folk side.
Yeah.
It's like you see them and they weren't talking about their influences or the bands that they like or they're playing clips on Rage and stuff like that. There's always usually a Smog clip in there. So the name I've always known about and sort of been in the background, but I haven't actually heard them before. Listened to a full album before, I should
And
say.
I think he's known for being a bit like a grumpy bastard.
Right.
No, he's not like the most vivacious personality.
All the best ones are.
He's gotten really happy these days because he's become a father.
Right.
He's married
Well, that can
and
happen.
become a father, and he's kind of more chirpy.
Oh.
But I think his reputation is a bit low key. A bit like I think he might lie in interviews just for the fun of it and things like that. A little Lou Reed like,
Yeah, no. Well, I've got a few references of people from like the 70s and stuff that I felt like it sounded like, or peers that it sounded like at different points, and I was like, yeah, this is great, like because I'd heard Smog before, but I couldn't tell you what I'd heard or when.
Yes.
But you know those random mixtapes you hand around when you're younger and by your older, cooler friends. And I had lots of really like interesting music on there. And so when I saw Smog, I was just like, yep, cool. I know what I'm getting into. But then again, didn't deep dive into Smog at the time. Or as I got older, I kind of deviated. So it was really joyful for me to actually sit down and deep dive into an actual full Smog record. So now I can go back
Almost
to the
like
back
the
catalogue.
first time.
Yeah, just because like I'm probably going to go back to like Knock Knock, or I'm going to go forwards to other things that came out when I became older and more like mature in my listening. And I'll probably go, oh my goodness, that was that song that was on the tape that we shared around with the art students I lived in that dingy house, that place, and all that. And it would just be, it would be awesome. So yeah, I'm excited about that prospect. So yeah, we've not talked about the album. But like
No, we
properly.
should do that.
I was going to do one last thing.
One last thing.
Grant, $1 million question.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen Smog?
2000. Had I heard of Smog?
Had you heard of Smog?
The band, Bill? No. Had I listened to any of it? No. So 2000, last year in my university town, no clue.
What would you have been listening to then?
I remember buying, and it was so underwhelming, I returned it to Pearl Jam's, it wasn't Vitalogy, it was binaural, and it's the only one that I've returned, and just drank
Tell
a
Eddie,
lot.
to do better.
Oh, well, no, I wouldn't, because I do love him dearly, and the whole band. I just didn't, maybe that was just a bad time for me, but I bought, that was probably the only disc I bought that year, and I think a lot of the Matrix soundtrack from memory.
Great.
Oh, wow.
So, like Rob Zombie and Deftones and whatever was on that, like end-to-end Matrix music disc was what I would have listened to, like on repeat.
Over and
Yeah.
over.
Massive.
Yeah.
I think Liam's you've got like Tony Hawk soundtracks and stuff, haven't you? Have you talked about that in the past?
No, I've got Matrix soundtracks I love. Like, that's what almost,
okay.
yeah. If you could nominate a compilation, I'd have brought the Matrix soundtrack by now.
Wow.
That was definitely on the list.
If
Wow.
but
Well,
he
yeah.
made the rules, and
Yes.
we're not that compilation.
And Creed. Do you remember Creed?
I do remember
Yeah.
Creed was
Oh, yeah.
their second
arms.
album.
I have the Creed album
With
Yeah.
arms
on
wide
CDR.
open.
Yeah, so I bought the one before that.
Nice.
Didn't know there was
Yeah, there was one
I think
before
I've got that. Yeah.
It was not, well, Alison Changes do it, but it's a,
Or
or Hands of
something.
Clay or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway.
No
So
smog.
no smog.
Whatsoever.
No smog.
Clean
Well,
skin,
this is
clean
very
ear.
This is
forward to
fresh
what
ears
you-
for
Wow,
you
hey?
completely. So
Yeah.
Liam had an inkling of Smog. I have an inkling of Smog, and then Grant is fresh to
Like a big old baby.
Yeah.
yeah, like a lovely baby.
And two interesting choice of words. Big and old.
No, that's actually a Bill Callahan line.
Oh.
Like he has a song where he talks about himself being held like a big old baby, but not in this album.
Not in this
But
album,
he does
no, I
have
missed
some
that.
baby kind of imagery in there.
Yes, it does.
Nice. He does have some interesting imagery, and also when he's really young, he looks a bit like George Harrison. He's got real sunken cheeks and a furrowed brow, and he has
Okay.
that Harrison look.
Right.
So Google that, people. Just Google like
Kind of
Bill
looks like a
Callahan.
librarian or something.
Something like that, like somebody that's going to make music that you feel uncomfortable to. Yeah, cool. So there we go. We're going to
So all the songs, well, I was just going to quickly, all the songs were written by Bill, and he played vocals, guitar, piano, Hammond organ, synth, and jaw harp on all of them. Jeff Parker played guitar, who's from Tortoise, and then John McIntyre did some drums and percussion and recording and mixing. He's also from Tortoise, who are a great sort of post-rock, similar sort of style group. And then Matt Lux played bass, and Richard Schuller played drums, neither of which I'd heard of before, but yeah.
I think Matt Lux was in a. Was it Iron and Wine? There was-
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe, but
Which
I'm
is
not
a
certain about
similar
that.
arrangement, because Iron and Wine is mostly the one dude and then a support band behind them.
That's right.
There you
And
go.
then another guy, Richard Schuller. I did an internet search on him.
Yeah.
Well, he played on a few albums, Smog, this one being one of them, another by a band that I don't know called King Kong. But the most things that my search came up is that he plays in drum circles.
Just in drum circles and drums. Those things that I always curse.
Yeah,
when I'm going past them.
Exactly.
Wow.
Well, that's Richard Schuller.
Nice.
But I didn't know him either.
So what are your standouts on the album?
Oh, okay. Well,
Come on.
So the first song, right?
Yes.
When you listen to that, did it remind you of anything? That intro?
It reminded me of a really like 1970s ominous kind of soundtrack to something.
Yes.
So
it does start off ominous, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it has that it sounds like there's a guy called Robbie Robertson who does those kind of breathy kind of sounds sometimes with his vocal style, and I was obsessed with when I was a child for some reason. So I've got that as one of my harkbacks to like the 70s.
Yes. So next time you're on Skype or someone calls you on Skype, have a listen to your Skype ringtone, because I remember it must have been in London. Skype started happening and we started doing Skype with Australia and all of that. And the ringtone, it's very reminiscent of the intro to Justice Aversion.
Right.
But I've tried to find out that apparently 2 Swedish guys wrote the Skype ringtone.
Okay.
But it's very similar. Like, maybe different keys, but similar.
Because I knew Smog, I thought of Smog as a band. I didn't think of Smog as an individual.
Yes.
And obviously on the deep dive I found out, but then when you brought it up and I had to listen, I listened to it and I literally wrote lo-fi electro synth intro ominous, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like,
Yes. It's a great start.
with the old school vocals, multi layers in certain parts, and like some of it's deliberately imperfect as well.
Yes.
Which is something that I
You've
learned.
always loved.
Imperfection
you
can be
do.
flawless.
Yeah, which is which is
What
what
a
I
juxtaposition.
Yes.
But like another band that was in reference to them at some point was like that I referenced is like bands like Pavement, where like Stephen Malkmus is literally choosing his own key in any given song, and there are just moments, but you know that he can sing in tune, and you know he can do almost a falsetto, and he can do the deep, like he's got a huge range, but he chooses to be out of tune, and he does it in the first song just to go ready.
So the thing I know about him is that he pays a great deal of attention not only to the order of the songs on an album, but also how they come album to album. So this coming from Knock Knock is a really nice sort of segue. If you've heard Knock Knock, it's kind of like, oh, this makes sense. And he kind of brings you in from one album to another, which I think is really great. But it's such a... it has space in it, and I really love his use of space, and I like his play on words. So essentially what you've got him saying is he says, this justice aversion for the improper way things are done today. I had to look at the lyric sheet for that because I couldn't make that up. I didn't know what it said, which I also think is kind of fun. But so he's acknowledging imbalance of power in situations. It might be in a side street, or it might be on the main street in full view, and he's saying there's, a lack of justice. And so it's a justice aversion, but I also like the idea of it's a version of justice. So it's kind of like
deep on so many
wordplay,
levels.
language.
Yeah. It has a lyric in it which is something that I can really relate to, which is
root for the underdog, no matter who they are. Like the bank robber in the getaway car.
Yes.
and you'll always see me if ever I'm watching a TV show or whatever. I'm just like, no, they're not getting enough, which is why I'm obsessed with vigilante theories and stuff. But yeah, so I root for the underdogs.
Yes.
I even do it when I'm watching Premier League.
And he's torn. Like, it's not like go get him. He's like, I don't think I should. I don't think I should be rooting for bank robbers because they're not necessarily good people.
Yeah.
But they're the underdog, and that's my principle, and away I go.
Yes,
so
that's
it's
right.
from that first song and the whole album all the way through is he's torn about the things that he's singing about.
Yes.
And you can just see it right from the start. I had the same lyric written down. It was just like
Did you?
perfect
Right.
like
Lyric studies.
encapsulation of how he's feeling. It's like the principle is this, but I don't have to feel great about it.
And it's, again, a cinematic idea of the Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. Or, but the other thing I wanted to raise when we talk about this is he has, we could stay up all night talking about my animal nature. And then as you go through all the songs,
There's so
There's
much.
heaps of animals. So in this one, you've got the zebra and the lion, but there's also other animals include alley cats, bumblebees, panther, wasp, weasels. I don't know how to say this one, but in the final one, he's got Curtonavria flies, a species of flies and insects. And then in that final song, he talks about animals at play. So it's kind of like, oh, hello.
Can I drop a random fact on you?
Yes.
He was the narrator on a cartoon for adults, and he was the spoken narrator in 2017, I believe, for HBO, and it was called Animals.
Oh,
Right.
Wow.
my
Just
God.
bringing it all together.
That's amazing.
Ta-da! Sorry,
That
got,
is
got
interesting.
all
That
the
was
facts.
excellent.
20 years
What
old,
a
I remember
segue!
this. To dress sexy at my funeral.
Funeral, like
Yeah.
lo-fi Americana.
Just very cool.
So this
Very
is probably my
cool.
favourite song on
Yeah,
the
has to be.
album.
Mhm, for sure.
It's definitely one of the great ones.
And I guess a lot of his songs are open to interpretation. You might think that he's just being a big old jerk.
Yeah.
But I think this is like the most romantic song I've ever heard. I
Whoa.
love this song.
Because it's like, hey, I need you to look like the best you could ever be, better than you've ever been with me. Because,
Because you've never done it before. Or like,
Yeah.
because you've never done it before.
what?
Yeah, so it's like a weird. Yeah, I was going to say it's kind of weird in that way, but he's just talking about all the things she could do because she's that alluring. But then, at the
Remember
same,
this time.
and then
we did it
yeah,
then.
I love all this sex he wants to tell everyone he's
Yeah.
good at. But I feel like it's a real in-joke between these two people. Like he's going to be dead, but she's going to dress up.
Like a hottie.
She's going to wink and blow kisses at people. And it's like that final intimate in-joke.
yeah.
And I guess like it's kind of like a 2-chord and a bridge song. I guess you could go, oh, this is just a little playful song that's saying my wife never looks sexy. But I think there's a point after he's talking about tell them about the time we did it on the beach with fireworks above us, and the synth line comes in, which is kind of symbolic of fireworks, and then he emotes with that
So sexy.
It's
Like,
so great.
Yeah.
It's so
because
great.
he also says, also tell them about how I gave to charity and tried to love my fellow man the best I could. Yeah. So he's like, oh, we had great sex. You are amazing looking, but also I was a good person.
Yes, that's
Like,
right.
just as a side note, I was a good person.
Add in.
See, I think that actually makes it. That's the serious moment in
Yes.
it. It's like it's it's a fun song, but also it's my funeral, and I want people to think the best of me, and I want to be thought the best of.
Yeah.
So it's that those two lines. I had them written down as well. Again, it's like it could just be a completely funny song, but also it's about a funeral, so he's going to throw in 2 lines of bleakness, but just those 2 lines, and everything else is just funny.
Yeah, and I guess it also makes me look good that you look good. So it's like it makes me look like I was someone I died, but check what I left behind.
That's
Oh
hilarious.
my goodness!
And it reminded me so much of 69 Love Songs by Magnetic Fields.
yes.
Like I was just listening to that going, this would go, like, apart from the fact that it's 5.5 minutes, because he had no time for 5.5 minute songs, but on that album, because it's not necessarily love songs, it's songs about love.
Yes,
And this is a
that's
song,
right.
not necessarily how much he loves his wife, more just a song about their relationship and about the
Yes.
love that they had. So I just
Yeah.
listened to it, I was like, this could go, but then I'm pretty sure this came out before that, so.
It really gets me every time. And I love the little 2 drum beats, drumstick, tap, tap. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
they didn't need to put that in, but they've chosen to do that. And it's like, yeah, I love that.
Yep.
I got the double tick from
You loved it?
From me,
You got the double
nice.
tick.
Righty.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
got
double-
great.
What else got you double tick, Grant?
Nothing.
Oh,
But I'm
okay.
intrigued. That's not a bad thing.
Oh wait.
But I'm going at an hour, 1 minute, and there are some extended songs in here. In the blood flow and distance, is it?
So Blood Flow.
6-7 minute.
So Blood Flow is my favorite
Epics.
song on the
Blood
album.
Flow's got,
It is
Blood
a
Flow's
good-
got my
and
heart in it.
Probably should have given it 2.
Yeah, Blood
Because
Flow's
I've
got my
got
heart.
long, good, but one tick only.
It is a journey.
Yeah.
And but it's one I'm willing to go on.
It's amazing how it slows down, speeds up, slows down, speeds up.
I keep writing pick up, kick in, then close down, pick up, kick in.
Yeah.
And
So it's
like,
almost
yeah.
jazz. When it's going at that medium tempo,
Yeah.
it's almost like a jazz song. And then it slows down to more like the folky kind of thing and then picks up to jazz again. And then the end, it's a party song.
It's
Like
so
it's a party
great,
pop song.
isn't it?
Just no fear at all. So that's the group in the liner notes is the
Dongettes,
Dongettes that you referred to earlier.
So
Okay.
they are Jennifer Collins, Nicole Evans, and Damien Rogers. And one of them, I think it might be Damien Rogers. She is a poet as well. I tried to look up their backgrounds, and I couldn't find heaps on them. But it's just like they come in. But they do something I love. They spell the word.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
I
was
love
going
a
to say,
spell.
do you know why? They sounded
Oh,
like
come on.
cheerleaders.
Yeah.
It
That's what I
was
loved.
great.
Yeah.
But it's a complicated thing to spell. It's BLOODFLOW, flow, 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 flow. And it reminded me of, I don't know if you remember Faith No More, Be Aggressive. And they go, be aggressive, be aggressive,
Yeah.
B-E-A-G-G.
Which-
Yeah.
Which I think real cheerleaders in the US do
Yes,
that.
that's
Because
what
there's
they do.
another
I
song,
love
there's a
it.
Marcy Playground song where they do that as well. But it's a sad song,
so
so he
great.
slows it right down. It's like BEAGGRESSIVE. Like it's really sad and
That's
soft, but I think it's
amazing.
cheerleaders in the US actually spell it out.
Stop it.
It's really weird song.
Well, I've got cheerleader chant, and they've got their hey, hey
Yes.
in it as well. Which
Yes.
is, so that's got my underscore of, and it's also have the hearts. So if I do an underscore, that means must mention.
Oh,
So-
I love that code.
It's
I
got-
have such codes.
It's got
Don't
the
we all
mouth
have
harp.
codes? Pardon?
It's got the mouth harp.
It's got the mouth harp.
bong-
The jaw
mouth
harp. Jaw harp.
The jaw harp.
Oh,
Bong, bong,
jaw
bong.
harp.
Boing,
Yeah,
boing,
jaw harp,
boing.
sorry.
I love
Yeah.
that. I just think it's the funnest
So
thing.
good. Yeah. So
And it
Because Snoopy plays it.
Oh.
Snoopy plays the jaw harp a bunch of times when he's doing normally his hobo on the road stuff. He's always playing the jaw harp.
Apparently, I looked them up. Apparently, you can seriously damage your teeth.
I can imagine because
Oh
there's
my
metal flying around in
God.
there the whole time and everything.
and it's got those funny little boing noises.
Yeah, well,
That's the
that's
jaw
the
harp.
Is that
jaw
the
harp.
jaw harp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like
That makes
what's the
sense now.
percussion one where you smash a ball and it vibrates
Vibra
against?
slap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
I
almost like
played
one of
that in
those, but
my
happening
band.
inside your
Yeah.
mouth with metal.
I played that as a child. There you go. But
He mispronounces tete-a-tete.
Yeah,
And my editorial side,
Yeah,
gave me
but
the heebie-jeebies.
he had to
Ruffled
match it with
I know,
chef.
I know,
he didn't
what
have
a
to,
great
but he
match.
did.
He did. He chose
forced
to.
it.
He
I know,
forced
but
it.
I know he did that deliberately.
Yeah.
Yes, I get,
But-
yeah, completely. But it's
Hilarious.
that doesn't
Yeah.
make my heebie-jeebies any less.
Yes,
Yeah.
no. We
No, he's
acknowledge
doing
the
it deliberately.
heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, this is fine. Thank you. But because it starts with an eerie guitar intro and then really soothing. His vocals are really soothing, and you're led into this journey,
Yes.
as I said. And then he uses his upper register in the vocals, and that's just lovely.
Yes.
It's a really nice. Because he has some of the southern, he puts on a southern drawl in some of the songs. Then
He can get very low as well, can't he?
but then, he lifted it out. So it's not falsetto, but he's bringing his upper register. And from listening to it as somebody that sings, I really enjoyed hearing his range. On the record.
Yes.
And then it references the whole thing about hold on, with a grip so tight, dams my blood, makes my head feel light. Hearts will stop, and the blood will flow until we drop.
So great.
So I was that's really just blood will continue. No matter what we're going through, blood will continue, and then until we drop. It was really fun. It was but like I couldn't believe when it was over 7 minutes, because usually I'm a bit pissed off when a song's over 7 minutes.
It feels like you're like, all right, we're over it, we're done the song. Like you got through your thing, let's move on.
Yeah.
But
It didn't feel like that.
One of the things I love in it, he tells them to slow down now.
Yes.
Which makes me feel like they were recording it all together at the one time, which not a musician, but I assume that doesn't happen very often. Like normally the different people record the different parts separately and do stuff.
Yeah.
But if he's telling them, okay, slow down now, and the whole thing slows down, it feels like, okay, you guys are all in a room jamming together and doing stuff together.
Organic, doesn't it? And the whole song does feel quite organic, because it is just, the pace is just changing all the time. It's amazing.
It's a really fun little, it's a fun song considering it's over 7 minutes long.
And what was your other one, Grant, you mentioned?
The two long ones being Blood Flow and Distance. I mean, you can talk about 19 as well, but that's not from a long perspective. But wow, it's difficult to misinterpret those lyrics, I think, in terms of what was going on there.
Did you think the percussion at the beginning sounded like footsteps? And it freaked me out.
Of 19 or Distance?
Sorry, Distance.
Distance?
Yeah, it's like haunting, but the percussion is like duh, 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 duh. And it's like, it sounded like when I was listening to it, it was like between listening to it on a phone, listening to it through a stereo, listening to it on headphones. I was like, stop it. You're creeping me out. Yeah. And it's just got that kind of like ominous, like, thing, that sound.
It has a great line, image.
There are women on the street. They shine before me like teeth in a vine.
I just love.
Nice.
That's just great line.
Yes, I love that. And he also just earlier, as one little thing, it's little fists they pummeled absently. Like, what a really well crafted line. Like you just imagine like either like tiny people or like
Babies?
Like thinking
Bob?
like I was thinking like kids, like kids like just pummeling the wall, just
Yes.
like knowing nothing's gonna happen because there's no one there. And it's just that kind of imagery that you have around it. So, But then it goes, like, it's low with these little guitar licks in between the vocals. And then it just goes boom! And it hits you with wild guitars, full drums at 3-minute mark. You're like, whoa, you were a new song.
That's right.
But you're not.
But you're not. Yeah.
It's a slow burn, but the bands that I most listen to, the slow burn payoff is like a massive explosion. This isn't a massive explosion. It just is in the terms of the album, where one guitar and one drum come in. It's like, oh my God. It's like, no, it's not. It's not a big power rock thing. It's like it's up for them, but it's still just his stripped back, one vocal, one guitar, one
Like
drum.
somebody else's 0%.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was like, it's the slow burn with an explosion. It's the slow burn with the lift a little bit. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was going to say, I've got the same. Like I was just saying, like it lifts and then it drops back at like 4 minutes. At 3 minutes, it pulls you in, and then at 4 minutes 40, it drops you down, and then at 5 minutes 50, it goes full band solo, and then fades out for 30 seconds. And you're like, what are you doing in there? What are you doing? It is a journey.
Distant journey.
Which is lovely. But there's a Canadian artist called Bruce Coburn, and it reminded me a little bit of some of his journeys that he takes. And he's like a really like lefty forward, like he's probably like 70 something now, guitarist, singer, songwriter, and he does those sorts of journeys too. And he'll sometimes lift like music from different genres, or like African drumming and this and the other, just to take you on a journey.
Yeah.
But it is different movements, as you say, and it takes you like from a pocket of sound to a new pocket of sound, and then you have harks back to one of the previous ones, but you're not quite there yet. And it's just, it's that nice change, because we're talking 7 minute 54 with distance, pretty apt. Yeah, it's fair.
So it's almost unanimous amongst us who all enjoyed those two songs, despite
Despite
how
the
long.
their length.
Which is usually something we fall back on, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. So for Pascalle's perspective, the albums that have been voted unanimously flawless, I suppose, amongst the three of us, have generally been pretty much well under 40 minutes. You wouldn't get a 5-minute track on there, maybe a 3:30. But to go,
That's because
three
I
of
put
us,
people like Laura Marling and Nick Drake when they were like, we're finished. We're
yeah,
done.
done. Not
Well,
this guy.
I thank you
Not
for your
Paul.
patience.
Oh well, look. I'm not.
It's paid off,
we have
perhaps.
so far. It's
we
looking
have
good.
had-
Yeah, there we go.
Look, we had Donna Summer, and that was like 82 minutes or something
wow.
long. So yeah, that was a
That
journey.
was 4 albums.
That's 4 sides of an LP, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm conscious that we could probably talk about this for a long
Yes.
time. What other ones do you go? Because I've sort
Well,
of
I might-
steamrolled this with the long ones.
I might bring up The Hard Road,
Oh,
So
which is
good.
yes.
It's the shortest one, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
2 minute
It's the shortest
47.
This is my the mega cinematic kind of references that it makes me think of films. So it's obviously this couple who are vagrants. They're kind of on the run, making ends meet as they go. It reminds me of 2 films when I listen to this because it's so stabby and gnarly and it's so harsh. One is Agnes Varda's Vagabond, which is the story of a young woman who is drifting and she steals things from the line to keep warm and things like that. So she actually does a lot of these things in the French countryside. And the other one is Ingmar Bergman's Summer with Monica. And that is this 2 young working class kids run away for the summer and then it just turns to shit. They think they're having the most great time, but it goes bad. And that song really reminds me of that.
That's awesome. Well, I like the fact that there are deliberate, lo-fi style, but deliberate silences, or there's moments of just closed hi-hats being hit.
Yes.
And then, and then, and then it just goes back in again. And it's just the guitar sounds really sexy in the way it's played, so you can hear him stretching the string on the fretboard. So it's not just
that's right.
I'm not just hitting it and playing it. It's I'm playing it and then going kind of sound, and that is a really sexy thing that a lot of cock rock people do. But he just brings it in mainly for this, which is a nice one, and it dated it for me a little bit, this one, because he sings in a cyclone of stones, wooden spikes in your hair. And I remember in the 90s and 2000s wearing chopsticks in my hair.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So much. And I was wearing wooden spikes in your hair, to me, it's definitely
oh, that's really funny.
Chopsticks in a bun. And so, I'm
thinking she's walked into a bush and she's just got twigs in there or something.
Whereas to me, I was just oh, no, it's in this, everything that's happening, I was just there she is. And it was almost perfection with these wooden spikes in her hair. So it was
great.
Yeah, it's
flashback.
But that was... So I was just going to say that was another pavement style vocals, Stephen Malkmus kind of deliberate. I'm not in tune, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So all through the album, he defies expectation. You hear a part of a song, and if you've never heard the song before, you think, oh yeah, the next bit's going to be this. So he starts off this song with stabbing at that guitar, 3 notes. And you think, okay, so you're going to do that 4 times with 4 gaps. And then when it starts, you're going to fill those gaps with the rest of the melody. And then he never does.
He just doesn't.
So there's no melody to the whole song. It's just not a melody at all. But he fills the gaps with his vocals.
Yeah.
And so it becomes the conversation between stabbing guitar with no melody and his vocals, doing a melody, but also quite at a a fairly consistent level. It's not up and down in this song. In this song, it's
quite monotone.
It's just
it's good.
Yeah.
It grabs your attention because you think, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen next, and then it doesn't happen. You're like, okay, well now I've got to figure out what happened.
Yes, that's right.
So, but then it leads into Easily Led, which is this soft and slow piano with occasional lifts and then deep notes and stuff. So, and it's just really pretty with this kind of, I don't know, again, it's ominous undertone, but the vocals, he starts singing the end of a line, he'll go, and he'll do this really deliberate sound. So it's not a flowing it's a step like he steps up the register as he's singing the end of the line, and I just thought that was a really lovely thing to hear, like knowing it's conscious. As it like not just because you can't hit the notes, it was like knowing it was a conscious decision.
This is what my voice is doing.
Yes, which was
this is
really
the baby
lovely.
song.
Yeah.
So the images of the baby are in this one.
Yeah, that's true about him, like just being easily led by this woman, but not usually led.
Normally, I'm not easily led at all.
Yes.
But the baby lines that I lay open, jelly-limbed, to your smallest whim. So you can just kind of think of the floppy baby. But then more so.
But I am not easily fed. I'll turn my head when you come at me with a spoon.
And that's totally what babies do when you feed them something they don't want. It's like,
I had those lyrics written down too. I've got them in a special colour. Yeah, same lyrics. And it's like, he makes perfect sense about being not easily led. There you go.
Other ones from your side?
The only you mentioned it in passing, 19, which is like that softer and sadder song, Losing What You Had. You guys might not, George and Grant might not know this, but Pascalle, I thought this was very Drones-esque.
Oh yeah,
I thought, and it feels like, like the Drones were still 10 years away, but it felt like, and I thought I can see a connection between the Drones and Smog, not in the style of music necessarily, but just in the vocal patterns and the way the songwriting style. So this one, I was like, listening to I can see Gareth like covering this perfectly
for sure. And it's a really kind of selfish song. So the narrator of this song is like interested in losing his virginity, not really worried about what she's going through.
Before the age of 19, before 20, sorry.
I did it before I broke 20, yeah.
And some of it sounded like, it was almost like it was like a Nick Cave story.
It's cruel, isn't it? It's kind of like, everything's going to hell.
And he tries, and his vocals go into that drawl that I talk about, like, and it just comes in just for moments, and then everything's like back again, and he does this ooze.
Yes.
Yeah, his sexy ooze, but like, he has. Oh, but what's really lovely is that the last, something I really love is the last 5 seconds of this song is just the hiss of an amp.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's like
after
it's
he
like
sounds like a wolf.
Yeah, he sounds like a wolf, and then it just everything ends, but there's just this noise. But again, you'd think normally you'd cut that out in mastering, like you wouldn't have that in. But there's like Strayed starts with hissing from the amp, so it's like it's another instrument that's joined the crew. It's like using the guitar to its fullest. The only thing he hasn't done is like pluck the headstock and made like a placebo sound, but he's doing everything else with his guitar. So it's just like a really and 19 also has what's something that I sometimes go woo at. It's a tambourine.
The tambourine,
you go woo with a lot of things.
Yeah, I do go woo.
Piano, tambourine.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not hand claps, it's not cheerleaders, it's
No.
Oh no, there's so many. Yeah,
which one was it?
Yeah, there's many things, but I have underlined tambourine. Like that's the choice percussion to open the song. That real lo-fi sound.
I'm going to make a movie reference here, but it's not like an art house film. But when he talks about down by the bay where I did stay, it reminds me of Happy Gilmore. Did you see
Greatest
that?
movie ever
I've seen
made.
Happy
Okay,
Gilmore,
so you know that scene, the scene with Shooter McGavin?
Absolutely, yeah.
Stay out of my way, you'll pay. Listen to what I say.
I might go live in the bay.
Yeah.
Make some
Play with
hay.
some clay.
Yeah. I just made.
Yes.
Isn't a bar? Yeah,
I have
remember
never
it.
felt so excluded
I'm
from a
so
group.
sorry.
It's such an amazing movie.
It's fine.
It's so
No,
good.
I've seen it. I just felt excluded from this moment.
From this moment,
This
sure.
is fine. Yes.
All right. Final pitches, Pascalle.
Okay.
Oh,
Let's go. You want to
no,
discuss?
I
We're very short of
Sure.
time.
We are
Okay.
short of time now. I could talk about so many of these things. So, yep. Let's go to final pitch.
Okay, final pitch.
Let's
Just
go.
Short and sweet. This is a deliberately cohesive album with literary songs that will ring in your head beyond the listening, and it has a distinct voice you want to hear over and over.
Thank you.
End
Nice.
of pitch.
Nice.
Thank you. Short and sweet.
No PowerPoint presentation.
Articulate and refined. Yes. George,
Hello.
a person who may have attended festivals and snobbed
Yeah,
Smog
snobbed
in the
Smog.
past, not
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah.
It's an age thing.
If I was older,
Sure.
maybe. Yeah.
Sure.
So I went, Smog. Heard of Smog, been on mixtapes, as we've established. Pretty exciting. So first listen, I was like, wow, this is difficult to get through. Was my first thing because I was really not in a lo-fi mood. So I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I put it down and then I came back to it. And then I was like, what's it called? In theory, it's called Songs of Devotion. And then I deep dive into the lyrics and everything that's going on. And there are lyrics about that are all a decision, loss, pushing away, love, etc. Even down to the final track where the devotion is, oh God, constantly, oh God. This is like another devoting song, and a really nice way of closing an album, because it's like, oh God, can you see your shadow inky black on the sand and things like that, like really beautiful imagery. So first listen, I was a bit like, I love Pascalle, but this might be a struggle for me. Fifth listen, I was like, I need to rally through the back catalogue as much as I can. I don't think I've got time. He's got 21 albums and I'm already in my 30s, so let's see how this goes. But from when I listened to it again today, from start to finish, I just enjoyed every single moment. I really did. Everything that he chose to do, every deliberate imperfection, as we've talked about, I just loved and latched onto. And when I'm coming back to you, you are mine, and I love it. So thank you from me. It's a flawless record.
What a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing.
Sorry, it's a bit heartfelt.
No, well, that's good. It's moved you, and that's awesome. That's the point of why we do this stuff. Well, I think anyway. Liam, over to you, sir.
Hello. So I had a similar first reaction to George. I was like, this is, the back half is long and there's not a lot of melodies and hooks and stuff you can sort of grab onto right in that first listen. So it took me a few listens to get into it. But yeah, I was saying, once I got into those listens, I was really hooked. And I think you have to pay attention to really get the value out of this album. You have to listen to what he's doing. And like I've talked before about how it defies the tropes and everything. So especially, I did mention time, but on the first song where it opens with a synth, and you think in most songs you open with a synth and then the guitar comes in over the top of it. And this song, it turns out the guitar's playing the backing roll to the synth, and the synth melody you get from the start is going to be the crux of the song. So yeah, I was loving it, loved all the way through. The problem was the back half, they're all really long. And I got over it a bit, but never enough to go, yeah, I'd really love to sit down and listen to this album over and over again.
Yeah.
And we've talked about sort of the things that we do. I don't think there's any song that you need to cut, and there's no song that's bad. But I think I would love him to like trim like a minute off most of them and turn it from a 11-track 1-hour album into an 11-track 50-minute album.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a little bit easier for me to swallow. So I couldn't say it was flawless. Nothing that he did in there was bad, but I just felt like some of the songs, like we talked about Blood Flow and Distance being long but having a piece, but some of the other ones like 19 and Devotion were long, and it felt like for the sake of being long, like he didn't do a lot along the way to justify their length. So I couldn't call it flawless, but I really loved it. And I think it will make more sense. Like if he's releasing one album a year, of course the albums are all going to work with one another, because it's not like he finishes one album and then doesn't do anything for 3 years and then comes back and records again. Like he's always thinking about recording. Yes. So I reckon if I heard like the album before it and after it, it would probably fit in as part of a piece, but just as the album itself, I couldn't give it flawless.
Oh.
Oh, well.
That's okay.
Grant,
That's okay.
your own final thoughts.
Look, I actually didn't have the struggle to get through it, I suppose, so much for the first few listens. I didn't do my usual, which is sit outside and drink beverages with my missus and gather my thoughts. And I don't think this album necessarily lends itself to listening in a pair so much as it's your own journey. Like, and I really, really enjoyed it begrudgingly because I never heard of Smog. This is an hour and a minute, and I'm going, geez, guys, a 7-minute track. This is on the back foot for me as it starts. I've got no crosses or indifferent marks, and so for mine, I think the lyrics were a bit challenging at times, and in a good way and constructive way, and makes you think. For sure, I didn't mind the length, which is very unusual, and I'm happy to say it was flawless for mine. So
that's awesome.
thank you for bringing it.
Oh.
I genuinely, I enjoyed it. It was really, and Blood Flow, I think you certainly should deserve 2 ticks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, really, that was my bad, but thank you. For mine, it was flawless. So, 3 out of 4, I suppose.
3. Yeah.
2 out of 3 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap up, where can people find out more about Stress of Leisure? Where can they find you online?
Oh yeah, hold on. Can I just say, Stress of Leisure, amazing live, totally awesome. If they are playing in Brisbane or touring, please go and see them because it will be an epic and awesome experience.
Aww.
And I say that as somebody who didn't know Pascalle before I first saw her live, and then when I found out I was going to meet her.
Aww.
So there you go.
That's lovely.
So where do we find you?
Okay, so we've just put out our album Faux Wave. So go to Bandcamp and check out that album, or we've got a video for one of the songs, Banker on TV, that you can see. We're playing with Custard. If lockdown and stuff
they're
is
coming
okay,
up from Sydney, so.
yeah. So, but we've got shows in February with Custard at the Tivoli, which is going to be really, really fun. And we're on Facebook, Insta. All of those things. Check us out.
I'll put some links in the show notes so everyone can find you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing Dongs of Sevotion by Smog. And thanks you, everyone, for listening. We've got a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are Flawless AMP on all of those. So you can join the conversation, share or like our posts, or give us a rating. Every little bit helps find more music lovers like you. As mentioned, we now also have a Patreon at patreon.com/flawlessamp. If you'd like to back us, please check that out. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Oh God, I never ask why.